Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Sharon Bonney. I'm the CEO for the Coalition on Adult Basic Education, and I am delighted to welcome you to our panel discussion today on the return on investment. We are going to hear from some lovely panelists who are going to talk about how adult education has really put a return on investment into their life. So our panelists today are Godelia Contreras Flores, Lynn Hamblin, and Megan Lindsay. And one of the things I want to mention about all three of these ladies is they have all been nominated or have won our Outstanding Adult Learner of the Year award. So a real high honor. And this was the reason we reached back out to them to participate on this panel. We wanted to hear about their life's journey. So this segment is going to be moderated by Dr. Megan Mcbride, who is also the Alumni Advisor to the COABE Board of Directors and also the Vice President at her community college. So Dr. Megan Mcbride, I'll turn this over to you.
Thank you so much, Sharon, and good afternoon, everyone. It is an honor to be here. It's an honor to serve as the Alumni Advisor to the COABE Board of Directors. As Sharon mentioned, not only am I a former adult learner and GED graduate, but I'm also the Vice President for Adult Education at Georgia Piedmont Technical College, serving 3 counties in metropolitan Atlanta. And as a former adult learner and current adult ed program administrator, I have the unique perspective of being a student and a practitioner of adult education. But regardless of where I am or what I'm doing professionally, I will always be a former adult learner and GED graduate. And I would not be where I am today if it were not for my GED. It was truly transformative for me. So I'm really excited to moderate today's panel with several outstanding former adult learners to see where they are now and how adult education has transformed their lives. So thank you to COABE for this platform and for the opportunity to amplify and center the voices of the students we serve. So as Sharon mentioned, today's panel includes Megan, Megan, Godelia, Lynn, and Kimberly. Kimberly is not here today because she's at work. So she sent us a video that we're going to show, and then we'll get to talking to the 3 panelists who are here today. So Sharon, go ahead and show that video for us.
Hello, my name is Kimberly Lee, and I'm here to share my story. I received my HiSET. I enrolled into Delta Community College, where I studied for 2 years in early education. From there, I entered Grambling State University, where I studied another 2 years to receive a bachelor. I am currently seeking my master's degree in administration and state and government. I'm a 2nd grade ELA teacher. I'm very passionate about the children that I teach. It's kind of in the same community where I come from, and I always try to express how important education is. Without education, there's no way I would have been able to purchase my first home. I would have never had the finances behind me, the education, the knowledge about financial information that's very critical when purchasing a home. I would not have been able to do that without education. Education has brought me so far. My children have overcome so much. There is a time where I can recall not even being able to help my children with their homework because I didn't have the knowledge or understanding of what they was even doing during the time that they was in school. And that was one of the saddest moments. That was one of the saddest moments. To just even reflect back on those times is very hard to even admit some of those things coming forth now. You always want to be there for your children, and even not having that education to where you can sit down and actually interact with your child and help them succeed. But now I'm able to say that they're thriving very well. We work on projects together all the time. Not only are they achieving great academics in school, their sports have taken off, taking us to a higher level in life. And I'm very appreciative of my education through the program, through Delta and also COABE. My daughter, my oldest, is now headed to college herself. We're preparing her. She did earn scholars, a full ride to the University of Louisiana here. I'm so excited and I'm so proud of her. Without the education background for me, this would have never been possible. So not only am I benefiting from education, my children will forever benefit from my educational background.
What a beautiful testimony. And I think Kimberly's story is illustrative of the fact that adult education is transformative, not only for the individual, but there's a generational impact as well. So Kimberly, if you're out there, thank you for sending that and sharing your story with us. So now we're going to talk to the panelists. And what we're going to do is I'm going to ask some questions of each panelist, and they're going to tell us a little bit about themselves and how adult ed impacted and transformed them. And if we have time at the end, we'll try to address any questions. So if you have questions while they're talking or want to say anything, drop them in the chat and hopefully we'll be able to get to them when we're done talking. So I'm going to start with Megan Lindsay. Megan, why don't you tell us your story about why you started taking adult ed classes?
I was a single mother of 3 boys who were almost ready to graduate, and I was working at his local Steak and Shake, been there for 15 years. My feet were killing me, my back was killing me, and my son came to me and said, "Mom, I'm going to quit school." And he was very similar to me with the similar learning disabilities. At the time, my disabilities were undiagnosed. And so I challenged him because I knew I needed to set those expectations for him. I couldn't tell him to do something I wasn't willing to do. So I returned to earn my diploma, and me and my oldest 2 sons graduated from high school at the same time. I have pictures of it. It's probably the best moment of my life. They're doing fantastic. They have not made it to college completely. One just enrolled, so he's just starting. So I'm hoping to see where he goes, and I hope it encourages the next son and the next person to go forward. And so that just kind of led to the whole process. I didn't realize that at first it was about them, but it became about me. Then I realized, oh wait, I can do this after all the years of fighting with school and hating school. And so what started out being for my children ended up being something for me, and then turned around being for my students that are here at the Eastern Iowa Community College.
Thank you so much, Megan. Again, you see how this impacts not only the individual, but families as well. Godelia, same question. Let's hear from you. Tell us your story about why you started taking adult ed classes.
Hi, everybody. In 2008, I moved from California to Oregon. In 2006. In 2008, I moved to work in the fish processing plant in Astoria. In 2012, I asked my boss for a raise, and he told me that they will give me 25 cents. I was doing HR, interpreting, driving, food delivery, and anything that you can imagine. I was really mad because I knew I can do better than 25 cents. And I went to the community college, and as a year before, I met Arlene Purcell, and she was reaching to people in the fish processing plant to try to enroll them to GED and ESL classes. So I went to her and asked her what I need to get my GED and start taking college classes. And she told me what was the requirements, and the same day I do the pre-test. and I get a good points. So I told her, I'm gonna do the GED. I didn't study, I just going straight to get the test. And I passed all of them because I have my high school from Mexico, but I wasn't sure if I want to continue with my education. That was one of my dreams, but because the family and all that, I had to think about to bring food to the table or you're going to school. So in that year, I get my GED, and I really like the school. I like it was complete different, like two different worlds. Like the college was one world and the fish processing plant was a different world, even though they was in the same city. But I like the hills, I like the college, and I started taking classes. It took me 5 years to get my AA. And after I finished my AA, and between that, I started working in a different organization, and I want to do more for the community, but for that, I had to have a bachelor's degree. And in 2015, I decided to go, 2018, I started thinking about to go to the university, and finally in 2019, I start full-time in Portland State University. And in June of this year, I finished my bachelor's degree with a minor, bachelor's degree in Spanish with a minor in Black Studies. And now I am in training because next week I'm going to start my master program in PSU. And I'm going to start teaching in PSU as a GTA graduate teacher assistant. And here I am, ready for the new phase.
Here you are. And all that started from somebody telling you they'd give you a 25-cent raise. And you said, nope, I'm worth more than that. And look at you now. And you definitely are. Thank you for sharing how you got into Adult Ed, Gedalia, and we're so proud of you.
Thank
so
you.
Lynn, your turn. Tell us your story about why you started taking Adult Ed classes.
Thanks, Megan. Well, my story is a little bit more recent. I grew up in a family business, so I had a knowledge and a skill set that in jewelry. So anywhere I went, I could get a job in jewelry. But when I decided later in life at 37 to have children, retail didn't really work, didn't fit well. You know, you're missing Saturday soccer games, it's long holiday hours. And then we found out I was having twins, and there was no way to go back to work. It would cost us money to pay for daycare. And that actually kind of shattered me. I've never thought of myself as a stay-at-home mom, and it really depressed me. But I didn't have any options because I didn't have my diploma. And so when they started Head Start in 2019 on the Rogue Community College campus, it was the Head Start program that said, hey, we'll pay for you to go get your GED. And I went, I guess, why not? They're on the same campus, might as well do it. And I fell in love. I fell in love with the program. I fell in love with the people. It was scary that very first day of my 41st birthday, walking into that room, but it was so diverse there. I mean, there was people older than I was. There was kids still in high school that were not wanting to finish traditional high school. There was homeschool kids, and everybody got along. We made this great little study group. And so every day after class, we're doing study groups together. And I just loved the process.
That was great, Lynn. And it reminds me a little bit of my story. You know, I had kids a lot younger. I was 15, but I had the same impact when I went to the adult ed classroom. I felt welcome and I felt comfortable because we were all there because we had some journey that some challenge we had to work around. And when you find comfort like that, it really helps you be successful. So thank you for sharing that. We're going to jump back over to Megan now. So Megan, if you haven't shared this in the first part of your story, why don't you tell us how adult ed has changed your life?
How hasn't it changed my life? 80% of our female population are of poverty right now. I am now able to purchase a car on my own, get a loan. I'm not dependent on my husband. If something happened tomorrow to him or anyone important in my life, I could step up and take care of my family by myself. We both wear the pants in the family now. Exactly. You know, it's just a beautiful feeling to be empowered for the first time in my life with learning disabilities. I always sat at the back of the room. My self-awareness was low. My health is better. My confidence is better. And even coming to the ambassador program has built my voice so I can use those words and be more confident in myself and spreading that to others and passing how impactful it is to get a high school equivalency diploma when you didn't think it was possible. And so I work every day tirelessly, excuse me, to try to help other individuals change their lives the same way, just to have that same powerful feeling. And I'm sure these ladies feel the same way.
I love that for you. And I love that it's not just about, I can get a job now, but she's just better all the way around. Again, truly transformative. These programs are, and the work that all of you out there are doing to help students like Megan, look how important it is as we grow up and move on from our adult ed programs. Gedalia, same question for you. How has adult ed changed your life? What's different from before to now?
Oh, well, a lot. It's a big difference. Like, I can sleep more. When I used to work in the fish processing plant, sometimes we work schedules like from 5 o'clock in the morning until 10 p.m. Or sometimes, I remember one time I had to work like from 5 o'clock in the morning until 10 a.m. the next day, like 27 hours straight. So now, even if I work like 10 hours, I know I'm not going to be like broke, and have the opportunity to pass the information to other people. Like right now, I am working as a part-time in the same college, in Clarkson Community College, where I went to get the information. So now is having the opportunity to pass that to other people, to tell them that it's never late, like get your GED, and that's your first kid to open other doors, to get better, not just for yourself, for your family, for your friends, for your community, for city work, for everybody. Having education, like I say, when I went to the Carnegie and I saw the college, is like, it's a different world. Is like, for me, was like, be rich, and not because the money, is because the knowledge. For me, education is that, is I become rich, and not because I have millions in the bank, is because I have knowledge now and be able to pass to others. That's the main thing for me.
Great, Delia. And someone mentioned it in the chat. This is truly the American dream. And you are really, you embody that, what's possible when you come here. And for you to have gone through high school really twice, you know, in Mexico, and then when you got here, and then working those long, hard hours, I relate to that. You know, before I got my GED, I was working long hours, making minimum wage with my 2 children, living in poverty. I received all sort of social welfare, everything they offered, I received it. You know, I had a excise department, food stamps, Medicaid, TANF, I had it all. And of course, now I don't have to rely on any of that. And it all started with my GED. So I wanted to mention that, Megan. You mentioned women living in poverty and how it can help you escape what could be a generational situation. I think a GED can really help you get out of that. Lynn, now it's you. How has adult ed changed your life?
Well, like Megan said, she said it best. What hasn't it changed? Because it truly, where that one piece of paper was a barrier to any choices we wanted to make, I am my own, that's my job. I can choose the only barrier is me at this point. So, and the friendships that I've made in the program and just the passion that I would have been given about education, and then I was on campus for one semester, for one term before COVID hit, and all of my tests were canceled. And I was going to give up because I was feeling pretty defeated. I had all my kids at home. There was no way I could do online classes while they're doing online classes. But it was those friendships that convinced me to go back, and that I could do it, and that we could do it together. And we did, and we have. And so it's just been great.
Thank you, Lynn. I didn't realize you were a pandemic student. I can only imagine the challenges that students face. We already have a lot of barriers and obstacles, and the pandemic it's been a long pandemic, and we all know what those challenges are. So kudos to you for making it through. And I'm so glad to hear that the relationships you forged were what kept you going. So much of your stories remind me so much of myself, and I know this isn't about me, but that little piece of paper is right there if you can see me. It, like you said, it opens doors. There, you know, back in my day when I applied for a job and I didn't have a high school diploma, I wasn't even considered. I definitely couldn't get into college and get all the degrees that followed it behind me. That one piece of paper, it's like a passport that opens up all sorts of opportunities that weren't there.
That's exactly it.
Yeah. And when you have a support system, you know, others who have been through it, it's like a bond. You know, you can relate and push each other. So glad that the school you were at was able to connect you with people who could help push you through. That's wonderful to hear. All right, back to Megan again. All right, so let's talk about what you're doing to help others. Do you feel like your experience, and I know Megan's going to have a story to tell here. Do you not feel that your experience in adult ed has impacted others? And if so, tell us how.
Once I finished my high school equivalency diploma, I struggled working part-time waitressing and trying to go to school and manage my family. And somehow, I don't know if the Dean of Education at the time was an angel she caught me walking down the hallway and she was like, "Oh, Megan, how are you doing in school?" And I was like, "Well, work's hard." So she encouraged me to apply for a work study position. And I worked 19 hours here at the West Davenport Center in Iowa through Eastern Iowa Community College, where I earned my diploma. And I don't think anybody at that time knew the impact of seeing someone at the front desk continue with education training, because really I didn't know how to use Office. I didn't know a spreadsheet. I didn't know any of those things. I was a waitress. I knew how to do customer service. I knew how to make people happy. And I knew I wanted to make people happy always. That was something I'm good at. And so for the last 10 years, I've either sat at the front desk while earning my associates in education, which I dreamed of being a teacher for years, but with learning disabilities, even getting to school wasn't something I was going to be able to do. So I've seen 10 years of graduation since I've graduated, which has encouraged me to move my education onto my bachelor's degree. I am a pandemic student as well, while having triplet granddaughters. For my last year, when I was nominated for National COABE of the Year in 2017, I was graduating my last year of associates. It pushed me through to do my, I'm at Bellevue University in Nebraska, where I'm earning my bachelor's in adult education, because I know how hard it is to find an instructor in adult basic education working part-time. And so I want to give other students that same hope I have. I've also, encouraged my kids to continue their education. And my best friend is now, who was against school from the very beginning, is getting ready to graduate with her associates in psychology and hopefully transferring. And her sister is, and her mom's now going back to get her diploma. And so it's like a virus. Education is like a virus. It's a pandemic, and it's the best kind you can have. And I think we should keep spreading it and spreading that word. It's the one thing you do want to spread is education. So I don't come across anyone that I don't impact in some way, shape, or form to encourage. I even encourage my husband to go back to school every day. So I think it's the most wonderful thing in the world. So
That's great, Megan. And Regina in the comments said that we have so many transferable skills, and really your customer service that you learned when you were waitressing does not go to waste, because there is never underestimate the power of good customer service in any field. And it's so important, you know, in an adult ed program to be kind and to help others and to motivate. And I want to point out here, this made me think of the stigma that is often associated with being a GED graduate. And for many years, I denied that I was a GED graduate. I claimed high school graduate because I was embarrassed. But now I am very vocal about being a GED graduate. And I know you are too, Megan, and all of you are. And that, especially where you're sitting, Megan, in an adult literacy program, it's so important for people to know where you came from and what you can do with a GED. So that's an important part of your storytelling. And I'm glad you're having that impact on the students in your program and able to give back. I know how fulfilling and rewarding it is because I am in the same situation. So that was great. All right, Gadelia, do you feel like your experience in adult ed classes has impacted others? And if so, tell us how.
Yes, it does. And still, I know it's more to come. Like I working right now in the ESL in Ed Education in Claxo Community College. And every time when somebody is like, oh, you used to work in the cannery, huh? Say yes. And they see like how different it is, like, oh, now you can Zoom, you can do this and that. And, oh, you understand because I worked long hours and I know my boss isn't is watching me, but and sometimes she say, why are you doing testing on Sunday or Saturday or 8 p.m. and say, because sometimes it's what adults need. Like they need people who can be accommodated to their schedule. So being able to do the testing or helping them how to read or do a problem in math. And it's like, okay, you cannot do between 9 to 5, but I can do between 8 p.m. to 10 p.m. or Sunday morning or Saturday afternoon. Like, I think that's the best way for me to impact others, be able to give the support in their own time. Because in the beginning, for me, my first barrier was the language. Like, I started taking ESL classes in 1995. And then after I divorced, I stopped school in 2000. And then I come back in 2012. When I come back, I say, I'm not going to go back to 2000. So I don't have that years anymore. So I better keep going. And people seeing me like going like, oh, but you are taking only one class. Yes, but I am taking one class. And that's what I told the students or the people who ask me about education. You don't have to finish in 2 years or in 4 years. You can go like one by one. And that's the way that, and I think that's something that is important to pass out to the people who want to get education. Like, you don't have to finish like the high school, like going to 4 years university. No, I finished my associates in 5 years. So you can do 6 if you need it, but just keep going. You don't have to take 12 credits in one program. You can take only 3 credits. And I think for people who see like, oh, she's been going to college for so long, but now they see me, oh, did you see Gudelia picture in this? Or Gudelia is in there. And people call me like, oh, how I can do this? Oh, well, I know you went through this, like, what is the best way to do? And I always say like, yes, go slow, but keep studying. one step at a time. I think that's the best that we can do. Like, just go little by little, but keep advance.
I always tell people consistency transforms. Transform is my word. That's it keeps me going in life. It's what I try to do. I try to help people do. And I think what the point you're making here supports that. If you are just consistent, you can get through. You don't have to make it through in the specified amount of time, and you're on your own timeline. As you said, it doesn't have to be a 2-year degree in 2 years. And we're adults. We have other responsibilities. Megan is a grandmother of triplets. I can't even imagine. So that's a good point, Gedalia, and thank you for sharing that. Slow and steady does win the race. All right, Lynn, how about you? Tell us how your experience in adult ed has impacted others.
I'll tell anybody who listened to go back to school. I've actually just convinced my mom. I'm getting her hooked up with Trio and financial support so she can go back. She got her GED years ago, but she's just been sitting around being bored. I'm like, well, then go do something. But I think also too, like this, the camaraderie that I had with the friendships I made, and especially during the pandemic, and just doing it together and holding each other up and holding each other accountable, and even, a little bit of rivalry with some of my friends. Oh, what was your score? What was your score? But yeah, that, and watching my teenager actually do his homework instead of slacking it off because he's watched me do mine for so many hours makes a huge difference in my heart. So
that's great. And education, no one can ever take it from you. So it's I encourage everyone to go to college or to get some kind of training because it's something that can never be taken away. And a little competition is healthy, so I like that. Whatever works, right? All right, Megan, back to you. I want you to tell us what your goals are for the future. What are you working on now? What do you want to do when you grow up? Tell us what kind of vision you're casting for yourself moving forward.
My goal is to be an integrated education trainer where I'd like to work on career within, for example, me talking about the work study. I think having a supervisor that was willing to work with me one-on-one, understand my learning disabilities, that wasn't something I would get in a regular program, a regular place at Steak and Shake. If I messed up, I got a write-up. So a lot of the times I learned because of my disability by my mistakes. And so Eastern Iowa Community College was fantastic all the way through. They encouraged me to come back to the ambassador program because they could see I needed to still work on that confidence and find out how to use my voice the right way. And I'm still working on that too. So I'm continuing working with the college. I also work with Iowa Literacy Council, where we are helping to advocate for literacy with our adult education students, because it also ends up going down with trickling down to our children. And we have to focus on today if we want tomorrow to look better. So if I want my kids to have a better tomorrow, and those 4 granddaughters that I worked so hard to get a girl in my life, and then I got them all in 1 year, I got to work hard. I want to see them be doctors. And if I read somewhere once that if you have a bachelor's degree, your child's going to hopefully have 1 more degree more than you. So my goal is to at least get a master's degree so I can have someone in my family that's a doctor and can support me when I'm done doing all this education and helping change the world as best as I can. My number 1 strength is harmony. And I just want people to see that there are so many wonderful adults that work in this program. They have great leadership skills, just like these wonderful ladies here. They just, for some reason, had a different barrier that kept them from coming to class. So I want individuals to see that not everyone that doesn't earn their diploma isn't or hasn't spent time in prison. Not that that's an issue in any way, or has a learning disability. I assumed everyone had a learning disability, and that was my implicit bias when I first started. Why would anyone not get a diploma? But I was wrong. There's so many other barriers out there, and we need multiple voices like this to show how many barriers are important. Mine's learning disabilities. Some come from other countries. Some, just have to make different changes in life. So we need all the voices we can to make change in the future and make our world look as beautiful as it seems in my mind. So other than that, I just keep working to make the world a better place every day.
You are so authentic and genuine, and you really take the words right out of my heart. Storytelling is so important because you're right. People have these misconceptions of those of us who have GEDs, stereotypes, and that can be really harmful to people who are in adult ed programs or who might be afraid to go to adult ed program. It can be paralyzing, the shame and the stigma. So it's so important to tell your story. And Megan, you are making the world a better place. And you can't become the doctor. It's never too late.
One thing at a time, one thing at a time.
Well, I have to do like Lynn. She encourages everyone to go to school. So here I am. I'm just doing what Lynn's doing. All right, Godalia, what are your goals for the future? What are you working on, and what is your vision for yourself moving forward?
My first goal right now is get my master in PSU in Portland State University, and I start Monday. It's my first day teaching a class in university. This is the first goal, but I hope I can get my PhD, and this is going to be maybe in Black Studies in Latin America, because sometimes when people see me, they don't believe I am from Mexico. And I hope one day they can put some information in books in Mexico about Black people in Mexico. But I want to be able to do what Percy did to me, like no way for people to go to the school and say, oh, there is this program and go to this person. No, Percy went down to the cannery and give you the information. And I think that's one of the main things, outreach. Don't wait for people to go to your office, to your little box. Go outside of your box. So this is something I want to do. I want to do work in a college or university and try to go out there, because if you see like high schools always have different programs, but only for high school students. But there is people that for one reason or another, or for wherever that the life present to them, they cannot finish high school. And what happened when they are in the 40s or 30s and they decide that, oh, I want to do more than that, where they can get the information. Sometimes they don't even know that the college exists. Or if you go into the college, you say 3 or 4 or 7 or 10 buildings, which door are you going to knock? So for me, it's going to the workplaces and let people know, like, oh, there is this program and you are doing, I don't know, cutting fish, but maybe you in the afternoon, in the morning, on the weekends, you can learn another language, or you can get your GED and be able to have the time. That's why I need the knowledge, so I can get more free time, so I can pass the information to others. I think, like you were saying, like that piece of paper, Megan, you were saying that piece of paper is, for me, is like my masterpiece, where I can start open different doors. And I keep open doors. I remember in 2015, 3 years after I gave my GED, I was invited in the state of Oregon to be one of the speakers for the GED Summit. And I I get the invitation, I was like, oh, sure, I can go. But I didn't know I had to speak in front of more than 200 people. And I was so, I was crying and people were crying with me. But it feels so good to see like everybody stand up to applaud what I say. And I say, yes, get out of the box. Education is the only treasure that nobody can take it away from you. That's just yours. And I think that was the first time when I see, oh, the GED is not just a piece of paper. The GED is the master key to open the door. And thanks to the GED, to the person that went to the cannery, I get the master key and I continue to open doors. And not just for me. I want to open doors for other people. And I think that's all I had to say.
That was great, Bedelia. And as you're talking, I'm taking notes as a program administrator. You brought up a good point. Some people just don't know that we exist or what we can help them do. And you talk about recruiting at places where people might want different opportunities. I hope all the adult ed practitioners out there are listening. Megan's talking about working in IETs. They know the language of adult ed. So these are the future of adult ed here. You really know the work that we do and how to impact, and those are great ideas for reaching additional people and giving them that master key to open all these other doors if that's what they wish to do. All right, Lynn, we're gonna finish up with you. Let's talk about what your goals are for the future. What are you working on now, or what are you wanting to do with your future?
So initially, when working on my GED and trying to figure out what I was going to do afterwards, I started taking concurrent enrollment classes. So I was actually doing a college accredited classes while doing my GED. And I figured, I'll go work in my kids' school because then I have the days off that they have off. I'll have summers off with them. I won't have to worry about daycare. It'll just be easier. So I'm currently working on a certificate in business administration. However, I applied for a student work position in our STEP program. And during that interview, talking about my journey and just feeling my own passion about how everything was for me, I have now definitely changed I don't want to work in my kids' school. I want to work in the ABS GED program where I graduated from and take my passion and my drive and share it with anybody who will listen, and hopefully give them the exact same experience that I was able to have, and they will move forward and pass on that passion to anybody who will listen like I do.
Regina in the comments said adult ed needs you, and that is true. We need all of you. You all really know exactly what we do. Having been through the program, it's clear that your instructors and your administrators really impressed upon you how all this works. And should you go that route, Lynn, somehow adult ed sucks us all in, and education does too. When I got my GED, I immediately went to the same college where I got my GED. And I was a work study student working on a business administrative technology degree. I had no idea how to use a computer, Microsoft Word, any of that. And 20 years later, the skills I learned in that program, I am still using to this day. So it's been very helpful for me. But then I wound up in adult ed, even though my original plan was to work in a business office somewhere. This is where I landed. So I wish you the best, and we would love to have you in adult ed. And Megan, it's a blessing to have you in adult ed. You are really moving the needle and moving things forward where you are. So that wraps it up for the panel. At this point in time, I'm going to hand it over to Sharon to talk about what's next.
Well, first, I just want to say thank you all. I've just been sitting here amazed, listening to first of all, what you've done so far, what your plans are. You really can see the transformative power of adult education. So thank you so much for sharing your stories with us. And this is why we're really excited about this return on investment longitudinal study. I'm going to share my screen here. We have Dr. Don Finn with us. And for those of you that know Dr. Don, you know he is well, first of all, he has his doctorate. He's worked in adult education for what, 27 years, Don?
Almost 30.
Almost 30. And I'm so thankful he's on our board. He's our past president right now, and he has worked on many different projects and initiatives with us. But I think this is one of our favorites, right, Dr. Don?
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah.
So we were going to talk about this 3-year longitudinal study and kind of the information we're planning to collect and the ways we're going to do this. So Don, if you'd like to kick us off.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, let me say thank you to the panelists. And, when we talk about return on investment, these types of stories are the types of data that we want to capture so that we can communicate with those decision makers, be it on Capitol Hill, at the state house, wherever they may be, to let them know and to inform them that there is a real true return on investment in adult education. We hear these stories, these types of stories that are so inspirational about moving up in the workplace, about inspiring their children to complete their education and so on. And so this study is intended to take place over a 3-year period of time. So it's longitudinal, and that we're hoping that we will be able to have adult education, that we would have adult education graduates, completers, that we can follow for this period of time. What we're going to do is we're seeking to collect outcome measures that are going to be self-reported by these folks, having to do with employment and earnings and health status, reading with their children or children in their households and so on. And we're going to try to make it as simple as we can for folks to participate, to be able to use their mobile devices or their computers, whatever the case may be, over that 3-year period, so that we can start gathering some data points that we can put together and hopefully build upon, so that we can, again, have that data. So it's folks who are exiting with their high school equivalency, exiting with levels 5 or 6 in ESOL, exiting and enrolled in post-secondary education, perhaps exiting with a certificate or credential, or exiting with citizenship. Sharon, do you want to jump on that?
Sure. So, I personally feel really strongly about the fact that this is for those who've completed in some way. They came into the program and they left with either a credential, or they're enrolled in community college, or they've gotten their job, that sort of thing. And our goal is that we're going to start the proof of concept piece through October through January. We'll do our pilot programs. And then February through March, we'll modify our instrument and our marketing, communication, that sort of thing. And then we hope to launch to the field of adult education at our national conference in 2022. So we have an exciting timeline there. And I'm really excited and really grateful that we have a wonderful board of directors, many of which have their doctorate, who will be working with us on this. And then, of course, we'll be partnering with another organization to analyze and publish our study. So,
right. And I was just going to say that, we're thankful we've identified those pilot sites. We're going to gain some insight into the instrumentation that we're using, the questions that we're asking, making sure that things are honed in and fine-tuned, and really take that time so that at our conference launch, Seattle 2022, we hope to see you all there. We're going full steam ahead with our in-person conference, and we're hoping that we will be launching the project and gaining the participation of adult education programs from around the country, so that we can have a broad and representative sample of adult learners from various programs.
right. And Don, to your earlier point, one of the things that we hear often when we have meetings with legislators or people in positions of power or funders, they ask us about this exact sort of thing. What's the return on investment? Mm-hmm. So our goal is to be able to demonstrate quantitatively and qualitatively that return on investment. We're super excited about it. We're very grateful to the Dollar General Literacy Foundation for the funding to do this, something we've been working towards getting the funding for some time now. And so we will be launching this in October.
We're very excited to hopefully, as part of our communications plan, to keep the field updated about the progress of this project from the pilot program through the first years of the years really of the project, to update people, to let them know what it's all about. And hopefully we'll be able to have some data points and be able to have some solid information that we can share with those decision makers, again, to show that ROI, because we all know, we've all been in this for a long time. We all know that adult education programs tend to be conducted on a shoestring budget, and yet there are so many fantastic stories. Look at the stories right here today before you on the side panel. There are so many great stories and so many hundreds and thousands more that these ladies here, that these individuals represent. So we're very, very excited to have something that is quantifiable, and hopefully something that will lead on to an even longer longitudinal type of study. So we're excited. Anything else, Sharon?
No, I thank you. I want to thank everybody for their time here today. I did want to mention, just as a kind of side note, yesterday, if you were unable to attend the programming at 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, I would really encourage you to go back and watch the replay. We talked with Google, who we're partnering with for a $100,000 grant. We talked with the Department of Commerce, who has $1.5 billion of funding available. 1.5 billion, and they're looking to partner with adult education. We talked with National Governors Association. They have a number of things in play, but they're also offering opportunities to educators to participate in various labs that they're conducting. And then, of course, we talked to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and talked about their talent pipeline management system. So I encourage you to go back on our website and check those out. It's available right there, very easy to watch it. And also want to encourage you, Twitter storm. We've got to continue to let legislators know that we're here and that adult education matters and they need to invest in us. I think many of you are aware we've been working on this $1 billion, and it's looking like, we don't know for sure, but it's looking like we'll get $3 billion. So we want to keep on pushing hard on that so that the adult ed programs have the funding that they need to fight the impact of COVID, meaning they need the PPE, they need more teachers, they need more masks, they need Wi-Fi and devices for their adult learners. And all of this is a direct pass to the local programs. This is not anything that comes to COABE. We are just that voice for adult education, pushing the field so that they can get the funding that they need. So Twitter storm is available. That's also on our website, 3 quick clicks to send to the legislators. And join us on social media for the rest of this week. We've seen a lot of activity. I want to call out especially our state advocate fellows, who are, some of them are on this webinar, as well as Regina Sue in particular. She has just been amazing out there, just constantly tweeting and retweeting, and on Facebook and LinkedIn. So I want to encourage you to do that the rest of this week. And then last but not least, we have our Fabulous Friday tomorrow. We're closing out Facebook Live with the fellows at 11 o'clock tomorrow. It's a great way to get involved and share your stories about adult education and what you've been doing this week. We have our Legislative Leadership Award as well at 1 o'clock. And last but not least, our state leadership debrief at 2 o'clock. So we've had a really busy week, really excited about all that's been taking place, and we want to finish strong. Don or Megan, anybody have anything last that you'd like to share?
I just want to thank everybody for participating in Adult Education and Family Literacy Week. Your participation has meant so much to us, and we're getting the word out about the benefits of adult education across the nation. So we also want to remind you that there is a session poll here. Very simple. Go ahead and click one of those radio buttons and go ahead and submit what your thoughts are here. But thank you so much. Thank you to the panelists. Thank you to everybody on the COABE board. This has been a tremendous event.
Yes, and special thanks to Dr. Megan Mcbride for moderating the first segment. We really appreciate it. Did a great job.
Thank you for having me. Thank you to the panelists for your transparency and for motivating and inspiring all of us today. And thank you to COABE for your commitment to all adult learners, past, present, and future.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye now.
Bye.